legendary Pokemon hidden right in front of our eyes, an angsty teenager falling into the dark side, and a bewitching professor linked to Paldea's past. These are just a few of the clues left behind in the Teal Mask DLC, and today we're going to be diving deeper into these mysteries to get a better idea of what they might mean for the Indigo Disk. But before we get into it, you guys that have been watching my channel for the last few months might remember me mentioning that I had big travel plans for the end of this year, and I'm finally ready to announce where I'm going at the end of this video, so make sure to stick around. I also want to give a quick shout out to my new channel Slice of Us, where alongside my wife Keren, we're going to be documenting all of our travels, and there's actually 2 videos up on there already, so if you like vlog style content, go check it out and stay tuned for our adventures abroad coming very soon. Now, the Teal Mask may be done and dusted, but it left with it a sense of anticipation I haven't felt for Pokemon in quite a while. The feeling of a true sequel looming ahead. We haven't had a real sequel in Pokemon since Black and White 2, and before that it was the very first generation leading up to Gold and Silver when people didn't even know if there would be another Pokemon game. So when that To Be Continued dropped and I realized this was just half, I felt an even greater sense of excitement for the continuation of the story, and specifically for one character that seemed to steal a lot of players' hearts, and that is of course, Kieran. Some people might see him as a bit of a brat, but as a formerly anxious and frustrated teenager, I never thought I'd relate so much to a Pokemon character as I did to Kieran during the Teal Mask. Bottling up his emotions as the people closest to him continued to lie and hide things in order to protect him without realizing it's just hurting more and making that jealousy and rage continue to build up inside until the anger can't be contained anymore and Kieran lashes out physically to the point of even hurting himself, feeling like the only way he can overcome these emotions is by becoming stronger. More than any other character, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's DLC truly feels like Kieran's story, and we know from previous trailers this will likely culminate with one final battle against him as the champion of Blueberry Academy. I have hopes that our boy will overcome the intrusive thoughts, but one particular instance during the story might say otherwise. Some keen fans noticed during one of the cutscenes, you can actually see a purple glow forming around Kieran's fist, a similar glow to that we see a few minutes later when the shrine mysteriously erupts and the Loyal 3 reawaken from their slumber. Could it be that Kieran's punch is what somehow revived them? You could say he was having similar feelings of wanting Ogerpon as the greediness the Loyal 3 felt when they wanted Ogerpon's masks. But there might be a better explanation for all these strange occurrences found within the files of this DLC. However, I must warn you that the rest of this video will be getting into leak territory and contains small spoilers for the future DLC, so consider this your final warning as I will be diving into some pretty crazy discoveries data miners have found within the Teal Mask, beginning with a whole new Pokemon. Kieran's grandfather tells us the old tale of Ogerpon and the Loyal 3 that went to steal its glimmering masks. Or should I say the Loyal 4, because during this introduction we can actually see there's a hidden 4th creature present in the top right corner. It's pretty hard to tell and most people would just assume this is Okidogi's tale, but thanks to the data miners we now have a clear look at what this entity actually is. An entirely new Pokemon. Not exactly as detailed looking as the other Loyal 3, is it? But would you believe we can actually find a similarly shaped creature as a plushie in one of the shops of Kitakami? It was right in front of our eyes the whole time, and now in color, which reveals another interesting twist. This color scheme seems to match with the Loyal 3, or more specifically with the toxic chain they all wear. In fact, even the shape of this Pokemon sort of resembles the chain Lynx, which has led some fans to theorize this strange entity might just be the creator of these toxic chains. The Loyal 3's Pokédex entries classify them as retainer Pokemon. There's a few definitions for this word, with the most common being a thing that holds something in place, but it can also refer to a servant or follower of a noble or wealthy person, which sort of fits with the feudal days of Kitakami when these 3 were originally active. With these definitions in mind, we can deduce that the retainer Pokemon category could be implying that the Loyal 3 are being held in place by the toxic chains, perhaps even against their wills in service to Dokutaro. I probably should have mentioned earlier, but that's supposedly the code name for this new Pokémon. You see, besides for a few images that were present in the DLC, most of the new information data mined from the Teal Mask comes in the form of text, specifically the names of certain characters, events, and battles that may appear in Part 2, the Indigo Disk. And while there's a lot of interesting stuff here that I'll be discussing later in this video, right now I want to focus on Dokutaro. The word Doku translates to poison, while Taro likely refers to Momotaro, and unless you've been living under a rock, you should know by now this whole Teal Mask DLC is inspired by an old Japanese story known as The Tale of Momotaro. The name Momotaro, or more specifically the Momo half, directly translates to peach, as in the story the boy was born from a peach. Could just be me, but I feel like this new Pokemon kinda looks like a peach. Granted, a poisonous peach, but still, the shape matches. And this has led some fans to speculate this little round object seen on the shrine was actually Dokutaro all along. In the original story, the boy's animal helpers were actually good guys that helped him fight the ogre, but in Pokemon this has been reversed. So what if these loyal three actually were good at one point and turned bad by the toxic chains? I mean, they're literally toxic. This mischievous little guy could just be poisoning the loyal three's minds. Still, that's only 4 of the characters accounted for. What about the boy, Momotaro? You could say it's our own character since, you know, we are human, but as I've been saying, this feels more like the story of Kieran, who also appears to be under some sort of toxic influence. Carmine even emphasizes at one point that her brother doesn't usually act like this, though she later blames puberty, but definitely sounds like he's being influenced by something else to me. And with its name basically meaning Poison Peach Boy, I could definitely see this Pokemon becoming Kieran's partner after being unable to befriend Ogerpon. Maybe he meets Dokutaro and sees him as his only friend, not realizing he too is being poisoned by its toxic chains. One final thing to talk about is Dokutaro's appearance. Is it just me, or does it kind of remind you of certain other Pokemon from Paldea? Perhaps they could be related in a similar way to Carbink and Diancie, or it might just be a convergent species or regional form. Best of all would be if Dokutaro turns out to be a Paradox Pokemon, but then again, there's no official confirmation that its eyes are yellow, as the only colored version we've seen of it has no eyes at all, so this resemblance really could all just be coincidence. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Now, going back to the data mined information, it looks like a few other familiar faces will be returning, as Penny, Arven, and Nimona will supposedly be involved in a quest during the second DLC. Considering they weren't even mentioned in the Teal Mask and haven't appeared in any of the Indigo Disk trailers, I'm expecting they won't return until the ending when we ourselves go back to Area 0. After playing such a huge role in the main story, I'm so happy we'll get to see more of them, though I wonder what their exact involvement could be based off this tweet from the Riddler. I definitely know which one I'm not saving, but there's a few more curious characters involved in this quest. Mama, I would presume, is the player character's own mom. We didn't even say bye to her before leaving Kitakami. I hope this time we at least have the decency to tell her we're going to Unova. And last but not least, we have Grandma and Grandpa, which I'm just gonna assume are Kieran and Carmine's grandparents since they played a pretty big part in Kitakami. Actually, now that I think about it, apparently all these characters will be involved in the same quest line, so either we're going back to Kitakami or Carmine, Kieran, and their grandparents will be joining us on our journey back to Area 0. Besides the quest though, there's also a list of special battles that'll take place during the DLC, and there's a few other things worth noting, but I want to begin with Kodai Kame, which roughly translates to Ancient Turtle. This immediately brings Terrapagos to mind and could be hinting at another yet-to-be-revealed form for the Cosmic Turtle. Now, I've previously talked about Terrapagos being somewhat based on the World Turtle, which in mythology is often depicted as an absolutely massive galaxy-sized being, which is not at all what it looks like in the trailers, so I'm hoping this final form of Terrapagos actually lives up to the World Turtle theories. We've seen Ogerpon's unique terrestrial transformations now, so Terrapagos could absolutely have something similar. Maybe channeling the power of all 19 types at once, or becoming this new rainbow type we saw teased during the World Championship. Whatever it is, I just hope it can rival some of the epic boss battles we've had to end Pokemon games in the past, like Arceus in Legends or Necrozma from Ultra Sun and Moon, and we can end the Scarlet and Violet saga with a bang. There's one final bit of text that might just be the most interesting piece that has surfaced from this whole data mine, and that's a supposed battle or battles against characters known as zombies. I'm quite perplexed by this one, to be honest. I know it doesn't have to mean like literal zombies, and though many people are speculating it'll have something to do with Dokutaro's toxic chain, like it could be infecting people and turning them into these zombies, I can't help think back to another fan favorite character from the Teal Mask, Perrin. At the end of her quest, she hopes we'll meet again, which makes it seem like she'll be returning in part 2. The reason I think these zombies could relate to Perrin's quest are because of the Blood Moon beast she was tracking, aka Ursaluna. In pretty much all of media, zombies usually come out at night, and maybe it's just me, but this new Ursaluna form, especially in its first appearance, kinda gives off an undead zombie vibe. It could be that the Blood Moon, like the literal moon, not Ursaluna, could return in part 2 and cause new Pokemon to transform, or even people, since these zombies are referred to as man and old. Even wilder would be if a certain character from Perrin's past returned as a zombie, but we all know that's not gonna happen. Another clue that might help figure this mystery out is the location of the DLC, because I feel like these zombies probably wouldn't be in the Blueberry Academy and instead something related to the Area 0 portion of the Indigo Disk. Could it be Terrapagos that's creating mindless apparitions we have to battle with its terrestrial powers? Or maybe Professor Briar has finally figured out how to harness the Terra Crystals, but it backfires and creates zombies somehow. I don't think there's ever been zombies in a Pokemon game before, so let me know what you think they might be in the comments below. Finally, I want to talk about one more mysterious character in the Teal Mask, Ogerpon's old master. We don't really learn too much about him other than he came to Kitakami from a foreign land and supposedly looked different from the people of Kitakami. I take it that means he wasn't from a Japanese-inspired region like Johto or Sinnoh. Perhaps he was from somewhere farther like Kalos or Paldea. Maybe he was our own character's ancestor, and that could explain why Ogerpon so quickly became our friend. Or maybe this character's hinting at a future Pokemon game and a region we've yet to discover. And speaking of regions I've yet to discover, it's finally time to reveal where I'll be going in the near future. In fact, it's just a couple weeks away now, which is honestly so surreal that I can finally say it in a video. Like, I've been holding this in for so long, guys. Every Teal Mask stream that I did, I wanted to just say it already, because after 14 years of making Pokemon videos, I'm finally going to the birthplace of it all, Japan. I am super duper excited, and I hope you guys will join me on this journey, as I'll not only be making a bunch of videos for this channel related to Pokemon, but also documenting the whole experience alongside my wife on our new channel, Slice of Us. So make sure to go subscribe and stay tuned for our adventures, as anything non-Pokemon related that we do in Japan will be uploaded on that channel. And I'm just so excited. Like, this has literally been my #1 country to visit since I was a kid, and to think that it's finally happening and it's all thanks to you guys' support just brings a little tear to my eye. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching all these years, and I'll catch you in Japan.